The first thing Marina felt was cold. Not the kind that came from an open window or sterile hospital air, but something deeper, like her bones had forgotten how to hold warmth. Her eyes fluttered open, and all she saw was white. Too white. Sheets. Walls. A ceiling stained slightly with age. Machines beeped rhythmically beside her, their sound both foreign and oddly comforting. Her head throbbed. Everything else was a blur. "You're awake," a voice said, soft and low, like velvet laced with something sharper. Marina turned her head with effort. Standing at the foot of the bed was a woman in a pristine lab coat, her name tag catching the fluorescent light. Dr. Livia Santoro. But it wasn't the name that caught Marina's attention. It was her face. Symmetrical, almost unnaturally beautiful. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek bun, revealing high cheekbones and full lips painted in a shade too dark for hospital norms. But it was her eyes, amber, glowing faintly like embers, that made Marina's breath catch. "How are you feeling?" Livia asked, stepping closer, her presence unsettlingly graceful. "Like I've been hit by a truck," Marina croaked, her throat dry. Livia smiled, perfectly. "That's because you were. Well, technically your car was. You lost control on the highway during the storm last night. Concussion. Some bruised ribs. A miracle you survived, really." She reached out, fingers brushing Marina's wrist as if checking her pulse, but the touch lingered a beat too long. "Cold. You've been asleep for almost a day." Marina blinked slowly. Her memories were fractured. Rain. Headlights. A swerve. Then darkness. Was anyone else? "Just you," Livia interrupted, still watching her with a gaze that felt too focused, too hungry. Marina tried to sit up, wincing as pain flared in her side. Livia moved instantly, placing a firm hand on her shoulder to ease her back down. "Careful. You're not ready to move yet. Let me take care of you." The words were tender, but there was something else beneath them. A charge. Marina felt it, crackling in the air like static before a lightning strike. The hours passed strangely. Nurses came and went, but always briefly. Livia, however, remained. She was there when the sun dipped below the horizon, when shadows lengthened in the corners of the room. Her rounds, apparently, only began at night. She checked Marina's vitals, adjusted her but mostly she watched. They talked. About music, about books, about nothing in particular, but the conversations were laced with something that made Marina's skin prickle. Livia leaned close when she spoke, her cool breath brushing Marina's cheek. Her fingers grazed skin under the pretense of examining bruises. And Marina, disoriented as she was, found herself leaning into it. Into her. It wasn't just attraction, it was gravitational. Like Livia pulled at some invisible part of her. But with every glance, every touch, came unease. The way Livia never blinked. How her reflection in the window seemed off. The absence of a heartbeat when Marina pressed her head to the doctor's chest during a brief, half-conscious moment. But it all built toward that one moment. That one night. The storm returned, wind howling against the windows. The hospital was quiet. Too quiet. Livia entered the room soundlessly, her silhouette framed by the flickering hallway lights. Marina, half asleep, turned her head and met those amber eyes in the dark. "Can't sleep?" Livia whispered, gliding to the bedside. Marina shook her head weakly. "I keep dreaming I'm falling." Livia leaned in, her voice like a caress. "You're not falling. You're waking up." Her hand touched Marina's face, gentle, reverent. Marina didn't pull away. Something inside her screamed to run, but her body betrayed her, aching for more of that touch. Livia sat on the edge of the bed. Her face was inches away now. "There's something I need to show you," she said, and her voice trembled, not with fear, but restraint. "Something you won't understand. Not yet. But I need you to see me. The real me." Marina's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" Livia's lips curved in a smile that was both devastating and terrifying. She leaned down, her mouth brushing Marina's ear. "Forgive me." And then, fangs, glinting in the dim light. Before Marina could scream, Livia's mouth was at her neck, and when the teeth pierced her skin, the pain was sharp and exquisite. Fire spread through her veins, but with it came something else. Pleasure so intense it made her cry out, not in fear, but need. Livia moaned softly against her throat, and the line between predator and prey blurred, dissolved, became something darker. Something irresistible. The first thing she felt was heat, blazing, unnatural heat pulsing beneath her skin like molten metal. Marina gasped as her eyes flew open, heart pounding as if trying to escape her chest. The hospital room was dark again, lit only by the faint flicker of monitors and the dim emergency lighting in the hallway beyond the door. Her throat was dry, lips parted as if she'd been mid-scream. Her hand shot up to her neck. Nothing. No blood. No bandage. No mark. But she remembered it. Vividly. The searing pain of Fangs sinking into her skin, the rush of euphoria that followed, the soft moan Livia had made as if the taste of her was something sacred. Marina's pulse thundered in her ears. Was it a hallucination? A fever dream? Some twisted byproduct of painkillers and trauma? She threw off the sheet and sat up, wincing as pain rippled through her ribs, but it was duller now, as if healing faster than it should. Her skin tingled. Every sound in the hallway beyond was amplified. Footsteps, whispers, the distant hum of fluorescent lights. She could hear things she shouldn't. Smell things, too. The sterile alcohol, the faint metallic tang of blood from another patient 2 rooms away, even the faint trace of something floral lingering on the pillow beside her, like perfume and something darker. Livia. But the room was empty. Marina swung her legs off the bed and stood, dizzy but determined. Her hospital gown clung to her, her body prickling with awareness that didn't feel entirely human. She stepped into the hallway, barefoot and uncertain, and the cold tile shocked her back to clarity. A nurse passed by and gave her a startled look. "You shouldn't be up," she said. "Your doctor hasn't cleared you." "My doctor?" Marina asked, voice hoarse. "Dr. Santoro." The nurse blinked. "There's no Dr. Santoro on staff here." Marina's stomach dropped. "She treated me. Last night. Dark hair, amber eyes, very," she paused. "Intense." The nurse shook her head. "No one by that name works here. Maybe you were dreaming. It happens." Marina backed into the wall, heart hammering. No. She was real. The nurse gave her a sympathetic smile. "Let's get you back to bed. You need rest." But Marina shook her head. "I need answers." The rest of the night was a blur of confusion. The staff was kind but vague. They showed her records. No mention of Livia. No logs of her entering the room. Security footage conveniently unavailable due to the storm. Everything about Livia had vanished. But the memory hadn't. Nor had the changes in Marina. Her senses remained heightened, her skin overly sensitive, her emotions volatile. She couldn't eat the bland hospital food. It tasted like ash. Her thirst was insatiable, but water didn't help. Something inside her had shifted. Something that craved something else. The next morning, she discharged herself. The doctors protested, but she signed the forms with shaky hands and walked out under gray skies and swirling leaves, the world sharper and stranger than it had ever been. Her apartment felt foreign. The air stale, the lights too bright. She closed the blinds and sat in the silence, listening to the world breathe around her. Then came the dreams. Vivid, fevered dreams of golden eyes watching her from shadows, of lips brushing her collarbone, of hands sliding under thin fabric. Dreams where Livia whispered in her ear, "You're mine now." Marina would wake panting, body slick with sweat, pulse racing with desire and fear. She should have been terrified. And yet, part of her wanted to dream again. One night, unable to take the silence, she searched online for Dr. Livia Santoro. No hospital records. No medical license. No social media. But in the deeper corners of the internet, in forums filled with conspiracy theorists and paranormal fanatics, she found threads, rumors, stories. The woman with amber eyes. A doctor who visits only at night. Victims who disappear after being treated. Marina leaned closer to the screen, breath catching. One post stood out. If you see her, run. She doesn't heal. She claims. And once she tastes you, she'll come back. That night, Marina didn't sleep. Her apartment creaked and shifted in the dark. The city outside moved like something alive, and every shadow felt like it was watching. She left every light on. But just before dawn, the power went out. The apartment plunged into darkness. The air turned cold. Too cold. A sound, a whisper of silk across the floor. Marina's breath caught. She turned slowly, heart slamming in her chest. And there she was, Livia, standing in the corner, cloaked in shadow, eyes glowing faintly like firelight. No lab coat now, just black. A dress that clung to her body like smoke, hair loose around her shoulders, mouth parted just enough to reveal the glint of fangs. "You've been looking for me," Livia said, voice low and intoxicating. "I had to know if it was real," Marina breathed. Livia stepped forward. "It was. It is. And you feel it, don't you?" Marina couldn't answer. Her body did. Every nerve lit up, drawn to the predator in front of her like a moth to flame. "What did you do to me?" she whispered. Livia came closer, until they were inches apart. "I gave you a taste. Not enough to turn you, just enough to bind you." Her fingers brushed Marina's cheek, cold and gentle. "Why?" Marina asked, trembling. "Why me?" Livia leaned in, her lips brushing Marina's ear. "Because your soul sings to mine. Because your blood calls me home." Marina's eyes fluttered closed. "Are you going to bite me again?" Livia's smile was slow, wicked. "Only if you beg." Marina didn't move. Couldn't. Livia's breath grazed her neck again, and the memory of the bite bloomed like fire under her skin, pulsing with a dangerous kind of craving. She should have recoiled. She should have screamed, demanded answers, called someone, anyone. But instead, her body betrayed her, leaning into the cold pull of the creature before her. Livia's hands found her waist, fingers trailing up beneath the thin fabric of her sleep shirt, and Marina inhaled sharply, her heart racing so loudly it nearly drowned out the silence in the room. "Why are you doing this to me?" she whispered, but even to her own ears, it sounded less like protest and more like confession. Livia tilted her head, eyes gleaming. "You already know the answer." Marina swallowed. Her legs felt unsteady. "Tell me anyway." Livia's mouth brushed against her jaw, a near kiss that made her knees threaten to buckle. "Because you're mine now. Because your blood tasted like secrets. And because you didn't fight me. You wanted it. You still do." Marina's breath came out shaky. "You bit me. You made me feel different." Livia's hand settled over Marina's chest, just above her heart. "It wasn't just a bite. It was a bond. I gave you a piece of me. And now you're changing." Marina felt it, had felt it for days. The way she no longer fit into the rhythm of her old life, how the world outside seemed distant, muted, meaningless. But here, in this charged, terrifying proximity to Livia, everything felt sharp, alive, inevitable. "Am I turning into what you are?" she asked, voice barely audible. Livia's fingers curled around her wrist, lifting her hand and pressing it over Marina's own pulse point. "Not yet. But you could. If you let me." "And if I don't?" Livia's eyes flashed. "You'll waste away. That taste of me will rot inside you like poison. Your body will crave what it can't have. And your mind will never forget." Marina shivered. "So those are my options? Die slowly, or become like you?" Livia leaned in, lips brushing against Marina's cheek. "No. Your choice is whether you keep running, or let me show you what you really are." Marina froze. "What I am?" Livia smiled, and this time it wasn't cruel. It was reverent. "You felt it. Even before me. You were always different. The dreams. The way people pulled away from you without knowing why. You were already halfway into the dark. I just woke it up." Marina's mouth parted, but no words came. She thought of every time she'd felt out of place, The way mirrors sometimes didn't quite reflect her right, how animals sometimes stared at her with fear. All the strange, unexplainable moments in her life that she'd chalked up to anxiety or imagination. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories." Livia stepped back just slightly, giving her space, but the intensity in her gaze never wavered. "I want you to come with me. Leave all this behind. I want to teach you what you are, what we are. And what are we?" Livia's smile turned feral. "Hungry." Marina's breath caught again. She hated how the word lit something inside her. Not fear. Hunger. "I don't even know you," she whispered. Livia tilted her head. "But your body does. Your blood does. That night in the hospital, it wasn't just me feeding. It was a conversation. Your blood said yes before your mouth ever could." Marina shook her head, torn between terror and the pull in her gut that said yes, yes, yes. "You're insane." "No," Livia said, softly. "I'm honest. And I'm giving you a choice few ever get. To become a monster?" Marina snapped. Livia stepped close again, slowly, eyes glowing brighter now. "To stop pretending you're not already one." The words hit her like a slap. And the worst part was they felt true. Marina had always been chasing something nameless, something more, something just out of reach. Maybe this was it. Maybe the reason nothing ever felt enough was because she was meant for something beyond ordinary. "What happens if I say yes?" she asked. Livia exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. "Then I take you with me. I finish what I started. And I show you a world you've only ever glimpsed in your nightmares." Marina stared into those burning eyes. "And if I say no?" Livia's voice dropped to a whisper. "Then I'll walk away. And you'll never see me again. But the hunger will stay. And it will destroy you." Silence stretched between them. Marina's heart pounded, so hard it hurt. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, dangerous, insane. But something deeper, older, was louder. A voice in her blood, in her bones, saying this was exactly where she was meant to be. "I don't trust you," she said finally. Livia smiled. "Good. You shouldn't. But you want me anyway." Marina closed her eyes. "What do I have to do?" Livia's cool hand cupped her jaw, tilting her face up. "Say it." "Say what?" "That you want me to take you." Marina hesitated, lips parted. Her skin burned where Livia touched her. Livia leaned in. "Say it." Marina's voice was a rasp. "Take me." And in the next instant, the world disappeared. Livia's mouth was on hers, cold and demanding, and Marina melted into it, into her, like she'd been waiting for this kiss since the moment she was born. There was no gentleness, no pretense, just hunger, desire, possession. Livia lifted her easily, impossibly strong, and carried her to the bed like she weighed nothing. Marina's back hit the sheets, and Livia's body pressed against hers, solid and unyielding. Their kiss deepened, grew frantic, like they were devouring each other. When Livia pulled back, her eyes were wild, fangs extended. "Last chance," she whispered. "Do you want this?" Marina stared up at her, chest heaving, every nerve alight. "Yes." Livia's smile was almost tender. "Then hold on." Her mouth moved to Marina's throat again, but this time, Marina didn't flinch. She tilted her head back, baring her neck in invitation. And when the fangs sank in, it wasn't pain she felt. It was release. Marina didn't dream that night. Or maybe she did, but the memories were liquid, dripping through her fingers like blood-soaked silk. When she woke, the world had changed. The city skyline was gone. The sounds outside her apartment replaced by an unnatural silence, so dense it pressed against her chest. She blinked, disoriented. This wasn't her room. The bed was softer, older, dressed in dark velvet sheets that clung to her skin. The walls were made of stone, lit by flickering sconces that burned with bluish flame. A massive window opened to black woods under an even blacker sky, the moon full and bloated. She sat up, dizzy, her body humming with a low vibration just beneath the skin, an awareness of something primal moving inside her. She felt charged, like static before a storm. The door opened, and Livia entered, wearing a floor-length black robe that trailed behind her like smoke. Her presence was overwhelming, regal and wild all at once. Marina's breath caught. "Where are we?" she asked, voice rough. Livia smiled. "Home. Or close enough." Marina swung her legs off the bed, her body aching in a way that was almost sensual. "What happened to my apartment?" Livia walked to the window, pulling the heavy curtain aside. "Illusion. We never left the city. But places like this exist beneath it. You just didn't know how to see them before." Marina stood slowly, trying to stay grounded as the reality of everything began to slide like water around her feet. "You brought me into another world." "No," Livia said, turning back to her. "I showed you what's always been underneath this one." Marina crossed her arms, suddenly aware that she wore only a long silk shirt that didn't belong to her. "And what is this place?" Livia walked toward her, eyes glowing faintly in the low light. "A sanctuary. A court. A prison. Depends on who you ask." Marina's skin prickled. "And me? What am I here?" Livia's smile was slow, deliberate. "Mine." The word made something flutter inside her. Fear, maybe, but not enough to push her away. "You keep saying that," Marina said. "But I don't even know what I am anymore." "You're in transition," Livia said. The second bite deepened the bond. "Your body's waking up. It's not just about thirst. It's about power, perception, hunger. You'll feel everything sharper now. Light will start to hurt. You'll hear whispers no one else can. And eventually, you'll crave more than food." Marina sat on the edge of the bed, trying to breathe through the weight pressing on her. "So, what? You're turning me into a vampire?" Livia tilted her head. "Not exactly. Not like me. Not yet. You're something in between, which makes you valuable." "To who?" Marina asked. The door creaked open again, and this time, someone else entered. A woman tall and androgynous, dressed in layers of shadowy silk and bone jewelry, eyes silver like moonlight. Livia's entire posture shifted, guarded, tense. "Marina, this is Iskra. She rules this territory, and she allowed me to bring you here." Iskra approached slowly, studying Marina like one might study an unfamiliar weapon. "So, this is the mortal you've been hiding." Livia didn't respond. Marina stood, pulse quickening. "I'm not. I didn't ask to be part of any of this." Iskra laughed softly, though the sound held no warmth. "They never do. But you're already woven in now." "And she?" Iskra nodded toward Livia. "She staked her claim." "What does that mean?" Marina asked. Livia's voice was low. "It means they can't touch you. Not without going through me." "And if I don't want to belong to anyone?" Marina asked defiantly. Iskra's smile was all teeth. "Then you'd better learn to defend yourself." The room shifted with energy, like invisible hands pressing against Marina's skin. Livia stepped in front of her. "Enough. She's not ready." "She'd better be," Iskra said. "Your little obsession has already stirred the others. The blood you gave her, it's not just bonding her to you. It's waking something old. Something we buried for a reason." Marina stepped out from behind Livia. "Stop talking like I'm not here. If something's happening to me, I deserve to know." Iskra stared at her for a long moment. "Then listen closely, little lamb. There are creatures in this world that dream of power they once lost. Ancient things. Your bloodline was touched by one of them. You are not just a human becoming a vampire. You are something rarer. Something dangerous." Marina shook her head. "That's not possible." You are not just anything," Livia said, her voice sharp. "I didn't choose you by accident. You were meant for this." Marina looked between them, heart racing. "And if I refuse? If I walk away?" Iskra's eyes narrowed. "Then the others will come for you. They'll rip you apart to taste what she's already claimed. Your only safety is with her. Or me." Livia bared her fangs. She's not yours. Iskra smirked. Not yet. With that, she turned and left, the door slamming behind her like the echo of a gavel. Marina sat heavily on the bed. So, I'm some kind of prize now? Livia crouched in front of her, eyes searching hers. You're more than that. But yes. They'll want you. For what you can become. For what's already waking up inside you. And you? Marina asked. What do you want from me? Livia reached up, fingers brushing Marina's jaw. I want to keep you alive. I want to keep you mine. But more than that, her voice softened. I want you to choose me. Not because you're afraid, but because you feel it too. Marina closed her eyes. She did feel it. That unbearable, magnetic pull. The way her body lit up under Livia's gaze. The way her soul quieted when they were close. You have to teach me, she whispered. How to survive this. How to fight. Livia smiled, slow and proud. I was hoping you'd say that. That night, training began. Not with weapons but senses. Livia blindfolded her, made her listen, really listen, to the sounds of the old stone halls, to the way magic stirred in the walls, to the scent of blood and fear and hunger. She taught Marina how to move silently, how to feel for emotion instead of reading faces, how to tap into the strange fire now building in her chest, the raw force that made her bones ache with unused power. And through it all, Livia never touched her. Not once. Not in the way Marina ached for. It was deliberate, torturous. The tension between them coiled tighter with every night, every look, until Marina couldn't take it anymore. Why won't you touch me? She demanded one night, soaked in sweat, breathless from hours of mental tests and manipulation drills. Livia stood across from her, arms crossed, looking like temptation in a silk robe. Because if I do, she said darkly, I won't be able to stop. Then don't, Marina said, stepping closer. I don't want you to stop. Livia's jaw clenched. You think you do. But if I take you now with what's waking inside you, then do it, Marina snapped. Let it wake. Livia stared at her for a long, agonizing moment. Then, slowly, she stepped forward, took Marina's face in both hands and whispered, You have no idea what you're asking. Marina smiled. Then show me. Livia's kiss wasn't gentle. It was desperate, ravenous, as if weeks of restraint had finally shattered under the weight of Marina's challenge. The moment their mouths met, Marina felt it, like lightning splitting her open from the inside out. Her knees gave out, and Livia caught her effortlessly, pushing her back against a cold stone wall, the contrast between her burning skin and Livia's icy touch making her gasp. Fingers tangled in dark hair, hands fisting silk, breath mingling with breath. Livia kissed like a storm, fierce and claiming, as though she wanted to devour every inch of her, and Marina didn't resist. She opened to her completely, letting go of fear, of control, of everything except the pull that had haunted her since the hospital bed. You don't know what you're doing to me, Livia whispered against her lips. Then show me, Marina breathed. Clothes vanished, torn, discarded, forgotten. Marina didn't remember moving, but suddenly they were on the bed, tangled in sheets darker than midnight, skin against skin. Livia hovered over her, eyes burning, fangs visible but not yet bared, as though holding them back took every ounce of discipline. You're trembling, Marina said. Livia's voice was low, ragged. You have no idea what you're awakening. Marina pulled her closer. Then don't hold back. And Livia didn't. What followed was not soft or slow. It was consuming. Mouths on throats, nails against backs, hips pressing, gasps swallowed by kisses. Livia moved like she knew every curve of Marina's body already, like she had dreamed of this moment for centuries, and maybe she had. And Marina, God, she matched her. Every cry, every arch, every grip of flesh met with equal hunger. The bond between them wasn't just emotional or physical, it was something deeper, rooted in blood and magic, something ancient that pulsed through Marina's veins now like a second heart. When Livia finally sank her fangs into her again, the sensation sent a violent wave of heat crashing through Marina's body. Pain and pleasure twisted together until she couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. Her back arched, her fingers dug into Livia's shoulders, and she moaned her name like a plea. But then something shifted. The moment Livia drank from her this time, Marina's blood pushed back. Livia gasped, pulling away, eyes wide with something between awe and terror. "What?" she started, but the room shuddered. The flames in the sconces flickered violently, then turned blue-white. The stone walls vibrated. A low hum rose from the floor, like the bones of the sanctuary were reacting. Marina clutched the sheets, her body convulsing with raw energy. Livia tried to hold her down but couldn't. Power radiated off Marina in pulsing waves. "Marina, breathe. Breathe." But Marina couldn't. Her eyes rolled back as heat surged through her core, blinding, burning. Her skin glowed faintly, veins lighting up beneath the surface in crimson and gold. Livia backed away, chest heaving. "This isn't possible," she whispered. The door slammed open. Iskra stood there, eyes glowing silver. "She's waking." "She's not ready," Livia snarled, shielding Marina's body with her own. "It's too soon." Iskra stepped forward, unbothered. "You fed from her during the crossing. That was reckless. She begged for it. She doesn't know what she is. And you do." Livia barked. But Iskra's eyes never left Marina. "She's not just a vessel. She's a conduit." The power in the room built until the sconces shattered, plunging them into shadows, lit only by Marina's body. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. "It hurts," she cried. Livia rushed to her side, gathering her into her arms. "I've got you. I've got you, Carmilla." Marina clung to her, nails digging into her back. The tremor slowed, the light dimmed, but the heat remained, the hunger. When Marina opened her eyes, they weren't the same. They burned gold. Livia stared at her. "What are you feeling?" Marina looked past her, through the wall, as if she could see something invisible. "Everything." Later, wrapped in silence, Livia paced the chamber while Marina sat, draped in a robe, skin still glowing faintly. "What did I do?" she asked. Livia didn't answer immediately. "You unleashed a part of yourself most never reach. Not without centuries of change. You skipped every stage. You didn't evolve, you ignited." "Is that bad?" "It's dangerous." "To me?" Livia turned slowly. "To everyone." Before Marina could respond, the door opened again. This time, Iskra stepped in more cautiously, accompanied by two others, figures cloaked in red, their faces hidden, their presence making the air colder. "The High Circle felt her awakening," Iskra said. "They want her presented." Livia growled. "No, you don't get to say no," Iskra said calmly. "Not anymore. She's no longer just yours. She belongs to us all now." Marina stood slowly. "If they want me, they can ask me themselves." "Be careful," Iskra warned. "The circle doesn't ask. They command." After they left, Livia sat beside her, expression unreadable. "They'll try to use you. Then I won't let them. You're not ready for what they'll do. Then make me ready." Livia reached out, fingers brushing her cheek. "You don't understand. When you lit up like that, they felt it across every border. There are creatures that haven't stirred in 1,000 years. They're stirring now." Marina leaned into her touch. "Then let them come. I have you." Livia's smile was sad. "I won't always be enough. Then I'll become enough." And in that moment, Marina wasn't the frightened girl in the hospital bed anymore. She was something new, something powerful, something terrifying. And the darkness around her didn't scare her anymore. It bowed. The hall of the High Circle was nothing like Marina had imagined. It was not grand, not adorned with gold or thrones or gleaming chandeliers. It was ancient, carved from obsidian and bone. The chamber pulsed with a low, thrumming energy that vibrated through her bones as she stepped onto the stone floor, barefoot and draped in deep crimson robes provided by Livia, robes that felt less like clothing and more like a warning. The 12 figures seated in a perfect circle around her wore masks, each one carved from a different material: ivory, iron, wood, bloodstone, and none of them moved when she entered. But she could feel them, watching, measuring, hungering. Livia stood just behind her, a step to the side, close enough for Marina to feel the tension radiating off her like heat from a dying star. Iskra stood opposite, her silver eyes cool, distant, unreadable. "Marina," said one of the masked figures, voice neither male nor female but layered and echoing, like it came from beneath the earth. "You were not summoned. You were called." Marina lifted her chin. "I came because you threatened me." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Amusement? Shock? It didn't matter. Marina didn't flinch. "And you felt me," she continued. "So, let's stop pretending this is a hearing. You want to know what I am?" Another voice spoke, smoother, seductive. "What you are is unfinished.
Raw.
You burn too hot. That makes you dangerous." "Or powerful," Marina said. "You decide which." "Arrogant," someone hissed. "Like the last conduit." "And she burned us all," another said. "That won't happen again." "That depends," Marina replied. "Are you planning to control me?" Silence. Then, slowly, one of the figures rose. The mask they wore was made of smooth obsidian, polished to reflect light that wasn't there. "You carry blood that should not exist," they said. "You awakened too fast. Too soon." Someone interfered. They turned their mask toward Livia. "You fed her too deeply." Livia's voice was steady, but her fists were clenched. "I followed the signs. She was already changing before I touched her." "Yet you claimed her," the masked one said. "Staked your mark on her like a beast in heat." "She chose me," Livia said, more forcefully now. "She begged me to take her." Did she understand what that meant? Marina stepped forward. "I understand now." Obsidian Mask turned to her again. "Then prove it." They raised a hand, and the stone floor beneath Marina's feet shifted, cracked, and opened. From the shadows below, something rose, massive, horned, with skin like scorched flesh and eyes that glowed a dull red. It let out a guttural snarl that echoed through the chamber, and Marina's breath caught in her throat. "A trial," the figure said. "Survive it, or be deemed unworthy." Livia stepped forward.
No.
"She's not ready for that. She is what she claims, or she is nothing," the figure snapped. Marina reached out, placing a hand on Livia's chest. "Let me do this." "Marina, I have to." The beast lunged before she could speak again. Marina barely moved in time, rolling to the side as claws tore into stone where her body had been. She felt no fear, only fire. She reached inward, to that place Livia had told her about, the place where the hunger lived, where the magic was still coiled and waiting. She touched it, and it roared to life. Her body moved faster than thought, strength surging through her limbs. She slammed her hand into the creature's chest, and a pulse of light exploded from her palm. The beast screamed. The chamber walls shook. One of the masked figures stood abruptly. "She's channeling it. She's not controlling it," another warned. "She's becoming it," Iskra whispered. Marina screamed as the force inside her surged beyond her control. Her skin split at the wrists, glowing blood pouring like molten gold. Her eyes turned white. She struck the beast again, and this time, it shattered, disintegrated into ash and light, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Marina collapsed to her knees, gasping, smoke rising from her skin. Livia was there in seconds, wrapping her arms around her. "You did it. You're safe. I've got you." But Marina pulled back.
No.
"I'm not safe. Not from them. Not from this." She looked at the circle. "You wanted a demonstration. You got one. Now tell me the truth." Obsidian Mask nodded slowly. "You are a descendant of the Sangvelato, the veiled bloodline, a conduit between the human and the divine. Your kind were eradicated centuries ago, or so we believed." "So what happens now?" Marina asked. Another voice spoke, One that hadn't until now.
Soft.
Feminine.
Deadly.
Now, you must choose who you serve. A figure stood, mask carved from living wood, pulsing with faint green light. She stepped into the circle, approaching Marina slowly. Livia tensed. Stay back. The woman ignored her, reaching down and lifting Marina's hand. You could end centuries of stagnation. You could remake the order. She doesn't belong to you, Livia growled. The woman turned her masked face toward her. And she doesn't belong to you either. Marina stood slowly, pulling her hand free. I don't belong to anyone. But you are already marked, the woman said. And marks can be rewritten. With that, she leaned down and pressed her lips to Marina's wrist, right over the glowing wound. The touch was brief, electric, intimate. Livia stepped between them, her eyes glowing. Enough. Then claim her again, the woman said, retreating into shadow. Marina turned to Livia. What did she mean? Can someone else take your mark? Livia's voice was tight. Only if I don't reinforce it. With blood. Or bond. You mean sex, Marina said, pulse racing. Livia hesitated, then nodded. A ritual. One that binds us completely. If we do it, there's no going back. And if we don't, they'll try to take you. Make you theirs. And with the kind of power you're carrying now, they'll tear the world apart to get it. Marina met her gaze. Then take me. Again. All of me. Livia's eyes flickered with heat. You don't know what that will do to you. I know what it'll do to us, Marina whispered. It'll make us unstoppable. And as the circle watched in silence, Marina stepped into Livia's arms and sealed her fate with a kiss. They didn't return to Livia's chambers. The circle offered no words, no warnings. They only watched as Marina took Livia's hand and walked out of the obsidian chamber with the composure of someone who had already chosen her side. The corridors pulsed with low magic as they moved, the walls breathing with secrets, as if the entire sanctuary was aware of what was coming. Livia said nothing, only led her deeper into the underground palace, past doors that hadn't opened in centuries, past wards that shimmered when Marina walked by. The air grew thicker, heavier, charged with ancient energy that tasted like iron and ash. When they reached the chamber, if it could be called that, it was not a bedroom, nor a ritual space. It was something older. A sanctum carved into black stone, lit by floating orbs of crimson flame. The floor was etched with glowing sigils, some shifting as Marina stepped over them. At the center, a wide stone platform rose like an altar, draped in cloth so dark it seemed to swallow the light. Livia turned to face her, her amber eyes almost gold now. This is where it must happen. Marina nodded, unafraid. Then let it. But Livia didn't move. Once we do this, she said quietly, we are bonded. Not just by blood, by power.
Pain.
Ecstasy. There is no separation after this. What I feel, you will feel. What hunts me will hunt you. What you become will be mine to guide, or to lose. Marina stepped closer. You already feel like part of me. Her fingers traced Livia's collarbone, slipping beneath the robe. And I'm tired of pretending I don't want you. Every part of you. Livia's eyes darkened, voice low. It won't be like before. It's not sex. It's surrender. Then take me, Marina whispered. Let me surrender. Livia's robe fell first, a slow cascade of shadow pooling at her feet, revealing skin pale as moonlight, marked with inked runes that glowed faintly as if waking from a long sleep. Marina let her own fall next, and when their bodies met, it was more than touch, it was recognition. Livia kissed her deeply, pulling her down onto the altar, their limbs tangling in heated urgency. The room reacted. The flames pulsed. The stone beneath them thrummed with power. Livia's mouth traced down Marina's body, slow and reverent, leaving behind a trail of fire and promise. Marina arched beneath her, gasping, not just from sensation but from the surge of something building inside her, magic, hunger, a tether winding tighter with every breath. Livia's fingers dug into her hips, anchoring her as her fangs pierced the skin just above Marina's heart. This bite was not like the others. This one was sacred, binding. Marina cried out, a sound that echoed through the sanctum as her blood poured into Livia's mouth, and in return, Livia bit her own wrist, pressing it to Marina's lips. The moment their blood mingled, the world exploded. Light and shadow converged, collapsing into Marina's spine. Her body seized, convulsing as power raced through her like a storm of flame. She felt Livia inside her, not just physically, but spiritually. Every memory, every pain, every century of loneliness, every name she'd whispered, and every one she'd buried. Marina sobbed as the flood overwhelmed her, but Livia held her, kissed her, whispered in a language Marina didn't recognize but understood anyway, "You are mine. You are mine. You are mine." And Marina whispered back, "Yours." When the ritual ended, they lay tangled together on the altar, skin slick, hearts beating in sync. The runes on Livia's skin had spread to Marina's, glowing across her ribs and thighs like ancient constellations. Her eyes glowed softly now, not gold, not white, but both. "You're changed," Livia said. "I can feel it. I feel everything," Marina whispered.
You.
The circle, the hunger, the power. Livia brushed a hand down her cheek. "Can you control it?" Marina sat up slowly, naked and radiant. "I don't want to control it. I want to use it." But before Livia could respond, a low boom echoed through the sanctuary, distant but getting closer. Livia stood, robe hastily wrapped around her. That sound. Marina was already on her feet, her senses sharper than ever. "It's not human." The door burst open. Iskra entered, eyes wide. "They're here."
Who?
Marina asked. "The Forsaken. The ones we locked away before the bloodline was erased. They've felt you now." "How did they get in?" Livia demanded. "They didn't," Iskra said. "You brought her here." She opened the door. Marina looked down at her glowing skin, the marks pulsing with each heartbeat. "They're after me." Iskra nodded. "You carry what they've waited centuries to reclaim." "Then let them try," Marina said. "I'm not afraid." But Livia grabbed her arm. "You don't understand. They won't kill you. They'll use you, twist you, make you into something no one can stop." "Then you'll have to stop me," Marina whispered. "If it comes to that." The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Livia didn't answer.
Couldn't.
Because they both knew, if Marina fell into the wrong hands now, there would be no stopping her. The ground trembled beneath her bare feet, and for the first time since the ritual, Marina felt something beyond power. She felt rage. Not her own, not entirely. It was ancient, cold, and crawling under her skin like a memory trying to claw its way free. The air in the sanctuary shifted, thick with tension, magic rippling through every stone as the echoes of battle began to ring from the upper halls. Livia's grip on her arm was strong, but Marina didn't flinch, didn't move, just stared at the door with eyes that glowed brighter with each pulse of danger outside. "You're not ready," Livia whispered, voice low and urgent. "You've only just awakened. They'll tear through this place to get to you." Marina turned to her slowly, calmly. "Then let them come. I want to see who they are." Iskra scoffed from the shadows, but even her voice lacked the usual venom. "She's not bluffing. The blood she carries, they'll feel it before they see her. They'll kneel or they'll burn. Or they'll turn her," Livia snapped. "Use her power against us. Corrupt her. If they infect the conduit, it won't just end us. It will end everything." "You don't trust me?" Marina asked, quiet but sharp. Livia stepped closer. "I trust you, Marina. But I don't trust what's waking inside you. And neither should you." Another explosion echoed above them, this time closer. Dust fell from the ceiling. Screams followed. Not human. Not anymore. Marina closed her eyes for just a moment, searching the threads of power now woven into her body, her blood, her bones. She could feel it, the beating heart of the sanctuary, the runes in the stone, the heat of Livia's worry, the cold curiosity of Iskra, and far above them, the dark storm coming. She opened her eyes. "We don't run. We hold the core," Livia said, jaw clenched. "Iskra, activate the wards." "They'll hold for a few hours at most," Iskra replied, already moving toward the sigil stones along the walls. Livia turned back to Marina.
And you. Don't fight unless you have to.
"If they touch your blood, then burn it," Marina interrupted, eyes hard. "I'm not afraid." "You should be." Livia stepped forward, their foreheads touching for one brief heartbeat. "Promise me you'll come back to me." Marina kissed her softly. "I'm already yours." Then the ward shattered. The explosion shook the entire sanctuary. The air split open with screaming magic, and from the smoke stepped the first of them. Tall, gaunt figures cloaked in ash and bone, eyes like dying stars, mouths stitched with crimson thread, their presence collapsing the light around them. The Forsaken. One stepped forward, tilting its head at Marina. It didn't speak, not with words, but the message was clear. "You are ours." Marina's power surged, without command. Her body rose into the air, sigils burning across her skin, hair whipping as if caught in a storm only she could feel. She raised one hand and spoke a single word in the old tongue Livia had whispered during the ritual, Ignis. A burst of golden fire erupted from her palm, slamming into the Forsaken, reducing it to ash. The others paused, hesitated, then charged. The room became a war zone. Livia moved like a shadow. Elegant, brutal, fangs bared, claws ripping through flesh and smoke. Iskra fought with cold precision, summoning blades of light from her palms. Marina became something else. Her body moved without thought, guided by instinct, the bond she shared with Livia amplifying her every strike. They fought as one, twisting, turning, protecting, attacking. Blood splattered stone. Screams echoed. And one by one, the Forsaken fell. But it wasn't enough. More poured in. Dozens. Hundreds. The sanctuary trembled. Iskra shouted, "We need to seal the inner sanctum." But Marina stopped, spinning toward the source of the storm. One figure stepping through the smoke, different from the others. Taller. Stronger. Cloaked in darkness, so thick it absorbed the light. And when it looked at her, Marina felt her knees go weak. This one spoke. Its voice was velvet and venom. "You wear her blood like a crown." Marina lifted her chin. "I wear it because I earned it." "You are the last conduit," it said. "And you don't know what you carry." "Then tell me." "You carry the seed of the end. Or the beginning. Join us, and we'll show you the truth of your origin. Of hers." Marina's heart stopped. "What do you mean?" The creature turned its gaze toward Livia. "Did she never tell you where she found the sigils that bind you? Did she never say who she once served before she claimed you?" Livia lunged, but Marina held up a hand. "No," she said, voice shaking. "Let him speak." "Ask her," the Forsaken said. "Ask her what she did to the last conduit." Marina turned to Livia, something splintering in her chest. "Is it true?" Livia's mouth opened, but nothing came. "Livia," Marina said again, a crack in her voice now. "What is he talking about?" But before Livia could answer, the Forsaken moved. Fast. A blur of shadow. Marina reacted on instinct, raising both hands as a wall of light burst from her core, throwing the creature back into the stone with a sickening crack. The others hissed, retreated, regrouped. Marina's body pulsed with golden light, but her breath was ragged. Her heart was not racing from battle, but from betrayal. "Tell me the truth," she whispered. "What did you do to the last conduit?" Livia's eyes burned, but not with power, with sorrow. "I loved her," she said. "And I failed her." "Did you kill her?" "No," Livia said. "But I let the circle use her. I thought I could protect her from the inside. I was wrong." "And me?" Marina asked, voice hollow. "Are you using me too?" Livia stepped closer.
"No."
"This time, I would burn the world before I let them touch you." "Then we burn it," Marina whispered, her body lifting again, light swirling around her like a living storm. Together. And in the silence that followed, as the Forsaken regrouped and the sanctuary cracked at the seams, Marina turned toward the enemy. Not as prey, not even as a weapon, but as something new, something divine. And she smiled. They followed her without question. Not because she commanded it, she hadn't spoken a word, but because power radiated from her like the sun, blistering and undeniable. Marina stood at the center of the sanctuary's broken heart, golden light swirling beneath her skin, her hair floating as if underwater, eyes gleaming with divinity. The Forsaken had retreated for now, wounded but not gone, lurking just beyond the outer wards, waiting for her next move. Livia stood to the side, silent, blood on her hands and sorrow in her eyes, watching the woman she loved become something the world hadn't seen in 1,000 years. They won't stop, Iskra said, stepping closer, bruised but still fierce. They'll regroup. They'll bring more. They think you belong to them. Then let's show them what happens when someone tries to own me, Marina said coldly, her voice no longer entirely her own.
There was an echo to it now. A wait.
She turned to Livia, and the silence between them was deafening. You should have told me, she whispered. Livia's jaw clenched. I thought I could protect you. Like you protected her? Marina asked, and the words were a blade. Livia flinched. I loved her, but I was a different creature then. Bound to the circle. Controlled. I never wanted that for you. Then why keep me close? Marina said. Why mark me? Feed from me? Bond with me? Livia stepped forward, eyes burning. Because I fell in love with you. Not your power. Not your blood.
You.
Marina stared at her, searching for the lie. But there was only truth. And pain. I want to believe you, she said softly. But everything in me is screaming to burn this world to the ground. To start over. Livia reached for her hand. Then let me burn it with you. For a moment, just a breath, Marina hesitated. Then the ground shook. The sky above the sanctuary cracked open. A pulse of black magic swept through the hall, and every candle died at once. The Forsaken had returned. But this time, they didn't come for battle. They came to kneel. One by one, they stepped into the broken light, heads bowed, weapons dropped. Their leader, the one cloaked in darkness, lowered his hood and revealed a face half ruined by time, half beautiful, half cursed. We are not your enemies, he said, voice softer than before. We are what you will become, if you let them control you. Them? Marina asked.
The circle, he said.
The ones who killed the last conduit. The ones who used your bloodline to bind the world to their rule. Your lover knows. She watched it happen. Marina turned slowly to Livia, who had gone still, pale. Is it true? They tried to turn her into a weapon, Livia said, voice barely above a whisper. They used her, and when she resisted, they destroyed her, the Forsaken finished. You feel it, don't you? Their power pressing against your spine, trying to bend you. Marina nodded slowly. Yes. Then join us, he said. Lead us. The old order must fall. Iskra stepped between them. And replace it with what? A new tyranny. With freedom, the Forsaken said. With blood. Marina raised her hand, and the entire hall glowed. The air thickened. The walls trembled. I don't want to rule, she said. I want the lies to stop. I want the wars to end. I want to be more than a weapon. Then be a god, the Forsaken said. You have the blood, the bond, the power. Marina looked at Livia again. And if I do, will you still love me? Livia walked to her, not afraid, not shaking, even as the magic lifted the floor around them in golden shards. I will love you even if you end the world. But I will never stop trying to save what's left of you. Marina took a breath. The storm inside her spun faster. A decision formed, heavy and final. Then we fight both sides. The circle. The Forsaken.
No one owns me.
No one uses me. She turned to the army behind her. I am not your savior. I am not your queen. but if you try to control me, I will become your extinction." And they bowed. All of them. Even Iskra. Even Livia. Outside, the sky bled black and gold as the first bolt of war struck the ground. Marina opened her hands, and the magic responded, forming blades, wings light. She stepped forward, no longer mortal, no longer afraid. Behind her, Livia followed. And the world would never be the same again. The world was fire. The sky cracked open like a wound above the sanctuary, pouring down ash and lightning as the ancient wards shattered one by one. The Forsaken moved like shadows reborn, their bodies twisting with centuries of rage and devotion. The circle descended from the heavens like gods, robed in white and gold, faces masked, voices a choir of command and control. And in the center of it all, hovering above the broken altar, stood Marina, her body alight with golden flame, her eyes glowing with power not meant for this world. She had become the storm, the choice, the consequence. Around her, the battlefield bled magic. Iskra led the front line, blades of light dancing from her fingertips. The Forsaken surged behind her, roaring Marina's name not as a goddess, but as a reckoning. Livia moved through it all like the eye of a hurricane, silent, precise, deadly. Every time Marina's power flared too hot, too wild, Livia was there, grounding her. A touch, a glance, a memory. "You're mine. Stay with me." Marina's voice echoed across the field without her lips moving. No more chains. No more gods. Only truth. The circle struck first, their energy pure, cold, blinding. Marina caught it midair with a flick of her hand and turned it back into fire. The front line disintegrated. The Forsaken surged in, overwhelming the cracks in the circle's perfect symmetry. Marina descended like a blade through light, her hands tearing apart spells, her body glowing with runes that shifted across her skin with every heartbeat. She was beautiful, terrible,
Free.
but not invincible. They had been preparing for her. One of the masked leaders stepped forward, chanting in the old language, summoning chains made of memories, her memories. Her mother's voice. Her old life. Her loneliness. Her doubt. They wrapped around her wrists and yanked her down midair. Marina screamed as the weight of her past crashed into her. She fell to her knees. The circle moved in. "You were never meant to survive," they said. "You were meant to sacrifice." And then Livia. She stepped in front of Marina, barehanded, eyes full of fury and love. "You'll have to kill me first." "Gladly," the leader said. The blade came down silver, holy, final. Marina's scream tore the sky. But the blade never reached Livia. Marina moved faster than sound, than thought. She was a flash of gold, of rage, of love made real. She caught the blade in her bare hands.
It shattered.
"You don't get to touch her," she said, voice no longer entirely human. "You don't get to write my ending." And then she rose. The chains burned off her. Her memories didn't weigh her down. They lifted her, made her. Every pain, every fear, every kiss, every choice. She gathered them all and exploded outward.
Light. Sound.
Power. Everything stopped. The circle fell back, blind. The Forsaken collapsed to their knees. And Marina stood in the silence, holding Livia's hand, glowing not with violence now, but clarity.
"It's over," she said.
"No more thrones. No more cages. I'm not your weapon. I'm not your god. I'm just me." The circle broke. Their masks cracked. The Forsaken dispersed into the night. The battlefield went quiet. Marina turned to Livia, the last glow fading from her skin. "Is it done?" Livia nodded slowly. "You ended it. Then what now?" Marina whispered. "What am I supposed to be if I'm not theirs anymore?" Livia reached out, brushing hair from her face. "Now you get to choose." Marina stared into those amber eyes, the first thing she remembered from the hospital bed, and for the first time since that night, she smiled. "Then I choose you." They kissed, not with hunger or magic or fear, but with love.
Pure.
Grounding.
Real.
The sanctuary began to rebuild itself around them, stone knitting back together, the old world breathing its last while the new one took root in the shape of their bond. Weeks passed, then months. Marina didn't return to the surface. Not right away. She and Livia rebuilt the ruins, turning the sanctuary into a home. Not a fortress, not a throne. Iskra stayed, changed by the war, her loyalty shifting from survival to sisterhood. The Forsaken faded into legend once more, content to watch from the shadows. The circle disbanded. No more rulers. No more conduits. Just people. Marina never lost her power, but she learned to live with it. Sometimes it sparked in her skin when Livia touched her. Sometimes it flared when she dreamed. But it no longer controlled her. It was hers. One night, much later, under a sky full of stars, Livia pulled her close and whispered, "Would you do it again? Choose me." Marina kissed her neck, smiled against her skin. Every time. And in the silence that followed, the world kept turning. Not ruled by gods. Not burned by war. Just held together by two women who refused to be anything but free and chose to love each other anyway. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.